right, perfect. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Again, salam alaikum to all of you that are just joining on this last few seconds. I'm Sister Elzina Salim. We're just going to jump right in. It's 7:35 p.m. I have a lot to go over. What I do want to say before I begin is that all of this information is shared with your team leads as well. So if you guys would like a copy of this presentation and as well as the recording when it's done, feel free to ask your team leads to share that with you also. And not only that, if you want any of us to elaborate further on any of these activities, please be sure to ask. I will be going over these strategies, activities, assessment ideas on more of a general level. But we have different grade levels here. We have different types of students, beginners, advanced in certain classes. We have different curriculum, Islamic studies, Arabic, youth programs. So there can be a lot more diversity in this presentation. I'll try to do my best to cater to all different groups here. All right, I'm going to share my screen, inshallah. Do we have any team leads on here? So maybe, I know Sister Wahida was a tech volunteer last year. So maybe Sister Wahida, if you see anything pop up in the chat, maybe you can support me by throwing out, letting me know of some of those questions.
Sure, inshallah, I'll do that.
Awesome, Jazakallah khair. All right, let's share my screen. See the screen? All right, so let's go presentation mode. All right, teaching for understanding. So we'll start with a quote from Malala. One child, one teacher, one book, one pen can change the world. We've probably heard this, before in different forms. Just know that each of you here and all the rest of the teachers and TAs and staff, we're all a part of this process. We're all facilitating this, educational process for our students. It's an amazing opportunity for each of us. It's a gratifying opportunity, and we thank you all again for your time and your dedication, your commitment to, helping all the students, all the kids in our community, inshallah, become stronger Muslims and, great citizens and ambassadors, Muslim ambassadors. So just a quick review. This is our academic team. Hopefully the folks on here, all of you that are watching, are aware of who your team lead is. I did not put up the TA team lead. That is also Sister Asfa Fakhruddin. So if you are not aware of your team lead, we might have a problem, but I'm hoping that everyone knows who their team lead is already. This is our support staff for the classroom experience. All right, the routine. Now we went over this briefly in our training. This is just an overview of how the routine will go. Now our pre-K, kindergarten, and first grade classes all have 50-minute periods, and our second and up all have 60-minute periods. So that's why there's some time frame here. The first two things that you're, as a teacher and TA, you need to do when you get in your classroom. Number one, sign in through the Google Staff check-in form. If you go onto your WhatsApp group, click on the top where the name of your WhatsApp group is, and you'll see description. It will have a bunch of Google Forms, and one of them will say staff check-in. You click on that. That will give us a timestamp of when you checked in, and you need to be in your classroom when you do that so we can track which classrooms are occupied with teachers. The second thing you do is you take attendance on Google Classroom or via paper or picture of your paper. A WhatsApp group is being created for every single teacher. If you took a picture of your attendance, you need to send it on that WhatsApp group, and you also need to send another thing. You need to send a picture of your classroom all the students and where they're seated. That picture cannot be posted on Facebook or social media or anything like that. It cannot be shared with family or friends. It can only be shared on this group chat, and that's for contact tracing and COVID mitigation purposes. So the two things that you need to do: sign in as a staff member and let us know you're here once you are in your room. And number two, take your attendance, either Google Classroom or paper, and send it on WhatsApp, or and a picture of your classroom on WhatsApp as well. So a general class, the reason it's in blue and in green is that if you have Islamic studies, you might be sharing time with the connections teacher. So that's kind of why I put this part here. But you would have 5 to 10 minutes of bell work. Bell work is essentially some sort of activity that the students can do by themselves as they come in the room. That gives the teacher an opportunity to get her work done, her or his work done. I can't forget the males out there, to get your work done, right? So that's the time you take attendance. That's the time those kids are coming up to you and saying, I didn't finish my homework. What do I do? Blah, blah, blah. You can answer some of those student questions. That's the time you might be sorting through some of the materials that you've already gotten ready for your craft and keeping them ready for the craft. That's the time the TA might be talking with the teacher, and they will be collaborating for 5 minutes. This is what I want you to do today. This is what I want you to do today. Please, keep track of these students. Please keep track of these students. So bell work is a great opportunity to get a little bit of that extra time at the beginning of the class for our teachers. We'll talk about different bell work activities as we go through this. Also a circle time. We might be a little wary of this time just because we need to socially distance, but you can still do it when the students are in their seats. You'll have like a 10-minute lesson, 10 to 15-minute lesson activity. This could be a game. This could be a craft. It could be, a writing activity for older students. If you have connections, you have the 20 to 25 minutes of connecting back to the lesson with that project-based activity, and then the 5 minutes of the review. Review is key. Review helps the students retain their information. So you might feel that you're repeating information, but believe it or not, that repetition is key for that retention of information. And whether you think the students are listening or not, they are listening. So make sure you put in that review to help them bring it all together and understand, why did we play this game? Why did we make this craft, and how it connects to the lesson and how it connects to their everyday lives. So your structure, your routine might not always be like this, especially if you have older students. But what's important to know is that you should have a routine. I have a why here, but I'm going to jump to my next slides because it has more information on the why. So essentially, it's the same as this. So the purpose is to manage your classroom. So what is classroom management? Classroom management is to save yourself from those kids that are talking to each other in the back of the room, or the kid that is talking out of hand and disrupting what you're trying to teach. To save yourself from losing time because your students aren't putting their materials away properly and it's taking them 10 minutes to do that before you can get started on the next activity. It saves you from something breaking in your classroom or being thrown around. Yes, it does happen, thrown around in the classroom. Okay, these management strategies we're going to talk about effectively engages all of our students. It minimizes those discipline issues and the distractions of just students looking around and not staying focused. It helps you effectively use your time. Like I say, you don't lose your time in between trying to either manage a discipline issue or get to the next activity. It helps you connect with all your students, believe it or not. And you'll see in these strategies how you're actually allowing for participation from everyone. You'll be keeping track of, I just called on a boy versus a girl. So it does allow you to connect with all of your students. And it validates each student's perspectives and their answers, because now you are really getting the opportunity to hear from everyone and listen to them. So strategy 0, because I didn't want to go back and change all the numbers, but is just that routine that we just talked about. Organizing yourself and being prepared. These are key to classroom management. And I'm going to speed up myself so that I can get through this whole thing. But we need to develop plans that accommodate your own style and your diverse student styles. So if you're an Arabic teacher, if you're a Quran teacher, we get a lot of, we have some students that are struggling versus the students that are super advanced. So if you've organized yourself, you can effectively create differentiation activities, which are basically activities that differentiate on learning styles, so that you can better support these different groups of students. It allows for proper techniques for deeper learning as well, so that you can essentially have deeper learning. It reduces your stress, it minimizes your discipline issues like we talked about, and allows for proper focus. So a little bit of a repetition, but it's super important. Key to classroom management is organizing yourself and being prepared with your materials, your activity, the structure of the day, and then your students know that. They will get vibes off of you. My teacher has no idea what's going on, and she's just kind of making up activities on the fly. They can feel that. Trust me. So strategy 1, popsicle sticks. This is when you get popsicle sticks, as you see in the picture, and you can write each student's name on one stick, and you put them in a cup, you put them in a jar, you can put them in a plastic baggie if that's easier to bring back and forth every day. If you feel like you're not getting participation from a variety of students, you choose students at random. You let everyone know that this is what we're doing, so you're not, picking on anyone individually. You pick out a stick and you say, Mariam, you can answer this question. And it allows, again, for everyone to participate, and you get to hear everyone's voices. So popsicle sticks are great. I know we even used them last year when we were online. Class roles. For little kids, this picture is a little bit more for our younger students, assigning roles to students. Write down what role you're assigning to them. This keeps students engaged and excited. This week you're the line leader if you're in Arabic class, and you're going to take everyone to the cafeteria for snack. For other teachers this week, you are going to help me take attendance. I'm going to give you the paper. When someone says they're here, you put a check mark next to their name. You can even do this for older kids as well. You can have them help you with attendance. You can have them, help you collect homework, which, actually may not be a good idea. You don't want them walking around in close contact with other students, but maybe they're, gathering materials that were collected on a front table for you and putting them in alphabetical order. Whatever helps you, you can create roles for your students. And we'll talk about this for group work as well. This allows everyone to participate and be a leader, especially for the younger kids. They love it. They feel like, they have this opportunity to be special for a day. Again, keep track of the roles that you're giving students so that you're not repeating. Thumbs up, thumbs down. This is something you can do when you're asking questions in class and you just want students to participate and they're not speaking up. Have them stand up if you think, if they think an answer is yes or no. If it's a short game, you can play it that way. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Yes to questions, thumbs up. No to questions, thumbs down. I think you guys get the gist of this. Again, helps everyone participate. Standing up and standing down in your seat is great because it allows for movement. Kids won't get a lot of that this year because of COVID. They'll probably have to stay, 3 feet apart and not move around too much. So that's a good one too. Strategy 4 is encouraging a growth mindset. So this is basically a mindset that allows our students to understand the value of effort, persistence, and trying different methods. So this is opposed to you're very smart, or you're very, we don't want to say this, but you're stupid, you're smart. saying this is an A. If you do it like this, you'll get an A. That's not encouraging a growth mindset. That's encouraging a fixed mindset. We want to make sure that the vocabulary that we're using is inclusive. I like the way that you did this. I like the way that you're working so hard on this project. It makes me proud. Or thank you for, if you're on Google Classroom, thank you for elaborating on this question. I like your details. So being more specific in what you appreciate, and giving students the opportunity to work themselves. We'll talk about student-centered activities. And again, bring out the positive in students. So sometimes, teachers might be saying, okay, be quiet. We need to learn now. I need everyone to be quiet. So, a nicer way, a growth mindset way of saying that is, point out those who are doing something positive. I like the way Mariam is sitting quietly. Once you're sitting quietly like this, I want you to fold your hands. Let's see if everyone can, do what Mariam is doing. You might need to count down for younger kids. I'll give you guys 20 seconds to do something like that. So encouraging a growth mindset, speaking in that way definitely helps with discipline. And creating a classroom community, this is something that you're going to do on the first day as well. Get to know your students, kind of in the same way, have them get to know you and have them get to know each other. Those activities like you say your name and an animal that starts with your name. So Alzina, alligator, and the next person has to say Alzina, alligator, and Mariam, mouse, and they have to keep repeating. So they get to know students' names, they get to know something about them. That encourages students to participate with each other, to encourage each other. It allows for students to be inspired by each other. So building that classroom community is very key for managing for classroom management. Builds trust as well. So again, a lot of information on here. We will share these slides, ask your team leads. Engaging activities. So the next part of this session is about activities, and the last part is about assessment ideas. So activities, the purpose is to allow for that deeper level of thinking, that teaching for understanding. Allows for student input and inquiry, and it provides mastery or orientation. Sometimes activities need to be more repetitive in the sense that we need to have students memorize, and that's okay, because there are certain things, like if you're thinking about, just the Arabic alphabet or a surah, students will need to memorize certain things. And, that happens in everyday school too, as well. But other than that, we want to encourage more of that higher level of thinking as opposed to memorization. It promotes meaningful experiences, increases attention and focus, effectively engages students again, it motivates students, it minimizes discipline issues, because essentially you are ending up putting activities in the students' hands. So they're student-led activities as opposed to the teacher standing in the front of the classroom and lecturing. Okay, so that's what you'll see all of these activities are all about the student and the student leading, the student working, and keeping them involved. Okay, and it brings value to the class. So ideas. Activity 1, make it interesting. On Google Classroom, which you all will be using Google Classroom to share lesson plans, homework assignments, make a Google form. Make it interesting. You might even want to start and ask them, what do you guys want to learn about? What you hope to get out of Quran class, or what is something interesting in Islamic history that you want to learn about? For older students, there are older kids topics that, they want to discuss more. Maybe for the younger students, there's a form that they fill out with their parents that asks them what their likes and dislikes are. And then you can use that in your activities and in your games. Maybe they have, they enjoy projects. A lot of them said they enjoy making projects. So then, maybe you'll end up doing more projects. Your students will be happier. They'll be more excited, more engaged. And then, you know, it also shows that you're reading their answers. So if some of the questions are, you know, information about the students, and you learn something new about one of the students, you know, Mariam, and you can, you know, announce that in the classroom and talk about it, as long as it's something that you don't think would be embarrassing, obviously, but, you know, talk about it in class. And it shows your students that you're reading what they've answered. It shows them that you care about that specific student. And then, you know, just make sure you're not leaving out students when you do that. So try to make sure that you are responding to all of your students in that way. Create learning stations. You could create 2 to 3 stations, give students 5 minutes per station. And at the end, you reconvene for that review and the thoughts from each group. Each station could be different, but related to this topic or theme. So if the first station is, you know, the students are reading some sort of current event or text or part of the book. The second station is a Quranic verse, and then they have to answer, you know, reflect on that in their notebooks. The third station, you might set up, you know, an iPad and they have to watch a short YouTube video on, you know, a topic, or watch the video on the recitation of the surah, or maybe it's an Arabic class and they're watching a short cartoon where they're speaking Arabic, and you know, they need to follow along some of the advanced classes, and they have to answer questions in their notebook. And so essentially all the students will rotate. So it's the same topic, learning in different methods and different styles. You're reaching out to all of those students who learn in different ways. You're also engaging students because it's not the same thing. And it's also student-centered again. So this is great if you are to do this throughout the year, learning stations. Kahoots. Many of you know what a Kahoot is. It's an online game. The only thing about this is that the teacher will need to have a projector. As of right now, we still have to purchase some projectors. We have a few that are already reserved, but it probably would only work with the older students who might be able to bring their own device in. Again, devices are not allowed in the school, but if you are playing Kahoot, you can tell them for this day, you can pull it out for the Kahoot game. And again, it allows everyone to participate in the game. They love it. I love playing Kahoot games. If you're not familiar with it, you can ask your team lead about exactly how it works. Quizlet. Quizlet is an online tool that allows you to create flashcards. So like for an Arabic teacher, Islamic studies on, you know, vocabulary terms, even Quran class, Arabic. I don't know if you can do Arabic letters. I'm sure there's a way you guys could figure it out. You can make quizzes. You can either share these on Google Classroom for your students to review before a test. You could also use these in class, again, if you had a projector. This could also be a station at one of those activity stations where students review vocabulary at one station. KWL. This is K stands for what I want to know, W, what I want to know, and L is what I learned. So this is a graphical organizer that you could have students make in their notebooks. You could give them a piece of paper to make it. They could be printed already if you guys printed this already for them. You can find these online. And so you start with a topic. Maybe it's a surah. Maybe it's, you know, some sort of Arabic grammar. I have to think deeper about that one. Maybe it's Islamic studies topic. Of course, youth program would have ideas too, easy ideas as well. So you first start by asking them, what do you want to know about this topic? Before you even start the lesson, they write down their thoughts. Oh, what I know, I'm sorry, the first column. The second thing is what I want to know, right? So then they write that down, and then you teach the lesson. And at the end of the lesson, that review period, like I keep telling you about, that is super important. You can do what I learned. You could even do what I learned for bell work the next time they come as well. Bell work can also be used as a review, but it is nice to review at the end of a class. It shows student progress. So this is a nice graphical organizer. How are we on time? 8 o'clock. Great. Activity 6, bell ringer ideas. So, you know, if the students are writing some of these work, you can always have students draw pictures. For the younger students, they can color on certain pages, but let's go through some of these. Tweet it. Have students write down 1 to 2 sentence answer or a review as if they're going to tweet it. So you tell them, you know, we're going to put this on Twitter and this is the question, and you can only use 2 sentences to answer. Post-it notes. Give students, each student, a post-it note. They have to write their answer on the post-it note, and on the board, you might have 2 columns, halal versus haram, story of Prophet Yunus versus story of Prophet Adam, you know, any 2 columns, 3 columns, maybe 4 columns, and they have to put their post-it note in the appropriate column that, you know, they answered for. You could even do this for Arabic as well, and, you know, have them write. I'll think of that idea after. You can ask me that idea, but you could use it for Arabic class. Think, pair, share. What this is when you give the students a question and they think about it by themselves, then you pair them up with the person next to them. They're 3 feet apart. They don't have to get closer. They pair up and they talk about their answers together. And then you say, okay, class, let's get together and let's share. Can we have, you know, a group share what they discussed, and have another group share, and maybe you only have a few people share. But that's a great activity to do at the beginning. Beach ball review. So this is always fun if you can throw the beach ball around in the room. What you do is you just buy a cheap beach ball from the dollar store, take a Sharpie and write different questions. I would make them general questions so that you can reuse the ball. And then normally you throw the ball around the room, and the child who catches it, wherever their thumb lands, that's the question they have to answer. But, you know, you can pick on a student and say Mariam, and then you can personally throw the ball in there and catch it. And wherever your thumb lands, Mariam has to answer that question. And the reason that you would probably do it that way is because we don't want to transfer germs. And we also we want to avoid chaos in the classroom, especially for the first few weeks. If you're outside, you could do it, but again, we don't want the transfer of germs. Write it, have your students write a reflection about a topic. They could even do this every single week. They know that the first thing they do is write a reflection. If you wanted to even make your students a book by, you know, September 18th, and that's just their bell ringer reflection book. I mean, that's a cute idea too. You can, you know, they can have this book, they can see their progress, they can review their reflections, you know, later on afterwards as well. Words. So this is, you know, mainly for Arabic. You can put a word on the board, have students write it in a sentence, write the meaning of it, draw a picture of it. Like I said, younger kids, you can just write on the board, you know, color page 6 as you walk in for pre-K and kindergarten. And of course, the TAs will have to help them find those pages. You might have, you know, printouts already prepared for them as well. There are some other ideas on here for reflection. Students could do reflections. You could have them post. For homeworks, you could do video reflections. You could, you know, have them do a private reflection as well. And there's some other ideas here too you guys can look at later. A video post, we just talked about this. So this is twofold. This is for the teacher, but it could also be for the student. So this could be a project idea. We'll come to those in a little bit. But this is also for you as the teacher. Let's say you have just gone over a topic and you didn't get to finish. Maybe you just finished by posting a video online and telling, you know, your students they'll be checking Google Classroom. They should watch the video for the remainder of that lesson so that you can continue to the next lesson the week after. You could also post a video before class, you know, part of a homework assignment. Again, it shouldn't be super long, like, a lecture by Yasser Qadhi that's like 45 minutes long might be too long, but something reasonable for the students to watch before class, or respond or reflect on whatever your homework assignment might be. The videos can also work. Group work 2, class collaboration. So this is kind of like those learning stations, but not exactly. You will have different groups. Each group will be working on a part of a whole. So an easy example is the 5 pillars of Islam. So one group is talking about fasting, and one group is talking about Hajj, and one group is talking about Zakat. And they all, make sure you have guidelines for them as to what they need to write down. It's fun sometimes to get those, poster board or big pieces of paper. You can always buy those and get reimbursed. The kids love writing on those. Have them write all their ideas down, and then at the end, make sure you save enough time for each group to put all the projects together in the front, because again, it's a collaboration, and then have each group present for 2, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever time frame you have. So this is a great project to go over a topic in depth, but be able to split up parts into different groups. Last activity are crafts. Sister Fakra, Sister Asfa, Sister Maham, Sister Shifa have amazing ideas. I just posted some pictures here. If you Google Islamic crafts, these are, obviously mainly for the younger kids, Arabic classes, pre-K through, 5th, even 6th and 7th, if it's, a craft that you think they might like, it's appropriate for their age. But crafts are always engaging. You can always try to connect them in some way to your lesson. It's a great way, again, to help students retain information. They're using different senses. They're, touching things. They're not just looking and listening. They're touching things. They might be smelling things. Who knows what you guys are making. All right, any questions so far on activities or management ideas? All right, awesome. We are great on time, alhamdulillah, so we might even finish early. So alternative assessment. So before I go into assessment, so what is an assessment? Assessment is like what you would traditionally think of as a test or a quiz. Assessment is something that checks for understanding and that gauges that level of understanding. So one thing that we have to remember is that IC and Al-Falah Academy went from letter grades, A, B, C's, to standard-based grading. So each grade level and subject level has specific standards. And if you haven't seen them already, your team lead has a spreadsheet with all of them, so you know exactly what standard you're covering at which week, because your curriculum should be completed by now. And these standards will be, I guess graded is not a great word, but it will be assessed between 0 and 5, 5 being mastery and 0 being, not even completed. You haven't even touched on the topic, and 1 being, this child needs some more work. So standard could be like, I can tell you the 5 pillars of Islam. And so however you're going to assess the child, and I'll show you different ways to assess your students, you'll be able to figure out that level of mastery for each child. The purpose again is checking for memorization. Like I said, sometimes we need to memorize, and that's that. Checking for understanding, measuring your growth and learning, and that's why we switched to standards, because students would get an A or a B, and then parents would be like, well, what went wrong? My student got a B. So now, there's that more granular understanding of, how can I support my child at home to get them up to the level that they should be in their Islamic learning. It allows for self-expression because students like to, some like to write and some don't. Some like to make projects, some don't. Some like to make videos, slideshows, draw cartoons. So it just allows them to be who they are, and show you how they've learned. It's open to different learning styles, like we just mentioned, and it keeps students engaged and interested. If they have more ability, they have a greater ability to choose different options, of course they're going to stay more engaged and interested. So sometimes teachers do say, you know, we're going to have a project, and these are the three ways that three project types you can pick. You can write about it, and you need to provide guidelines and details that you need incorporated. You can make a video about it, or you can make a board game, and we'll talk about some of these ideas. So you can even provide choices for your students. All right, so one type of assessment, depending on your class, is make a family tree. Maybe it's a family tree of, you know, Prophet Muhammad's family. You don't obviously want to have pictures. You would just write names. Maybe it's for the Arabic class. I think they did this last year, where they wrote names in Arabic for a family tree. Maybe it's Islamic studies, or even the background history of a surah that you can make a timeline for. So this is a great way of assessing understanding of connections, understanding of vocabulary, understanding of, you know, essentially timeline, time frame, and where things come in order. Again, with all of these, you need to provide your students with an example and bullet points for what information to include. A fancy name for this is a rubric. If you're familiar with a rubric, make a rubric. It tells you if you do X, Y, and Z, you get the maximum points. If you do only X and Y, you get 2 points. If you only do X, you get 1 point. So if you make a chart like this, and your team leads can show you what a rubric looks like if you're interested, your students have the ability to get that grade that they want to get by incorporating what they need to incorporate. Conduct an interview. This can highlight relationships and connections between individuals, or individuals or stories and historical events. They can make up a fake interview. It doesn't have to be a real live interview. It could be a live interview in Arabic if it's for Arabic students. Like I said, it could be something historical. You can, if it's some sort of connections project, they can interview students of different faiths, cultures, backgrounds. And again, provide those bullet points as well. Create an Instagram social media post. I saw a teacher do this one year, and I thought it was super cute. You can get these printed, this Instagram template. Okay, so first of all, I don't even use Instagram, so I'm assuming you post a picture and write about it. But you know, you do what you got to do to make this Instagram post, but you can tell the students what it should be about. If it's about a battle, if it's about, you know, background of a surah. For Arabic, maybe you're advertising an event. Maybe you tell your students, let's learn all the words about, you know, different desserts. You're advertising for a bake sale, then they can use their Arabic in there. Create a mobile or a hanging project. You could emphasize background and importance of a surah. You could advertise for event in Arabic. You can put it on a hanger. You could put it on a stick. Obviously, you need to bring in these materials to make these to help your students make them. Steps for wudu, Quranic vocabulary for a surah, story map, parts of words. And again, present your students with examples. Create a video, slides, or comic strip. Comic strip, you can get these, you know, online and get them printed about anything. Again, background, importance of a surah, story, current event. Again, the same thing in Arabic. And then provide them with bullet points. Dramatize. I've seen this take place a lot, you know, especially for connections. and scenarios that happen in school and specific behaviors and how they should behave. And so kids are split up into groups. This could be like group work where they have to, create a short role play of, a specific scenario and how a Muslim should react or act to that. Create a board game. This could be something that they do on their own. I don't know how much time would be needed in class. You could start it in class. But again, the same sort of topics, summarize story, background of a surah. Oh, sorry, this is not edited, a written play or monologue. So the board game could be a fun idea because students can bring them in and then play them with other students. So that would be nice too. When you create this board game, shows how you kind of understand concepts and how you're able to move forward in the game, and then they get to play them at the end. Gather or share real world examples. So grammar, words from Arabic texts. So this obviously helps them make those connections. What I'm studying in school or learning or memorizing, whatever it is in school, how does that relate? Examples of Allah's creations, articles that mirror themes from Prophet ﷺ's life. You could also do this by sharing, letters, good deeds charts, encouraging community service, especially projects that are going on with the ICN community, helping in the home. A lot of teachers have made charts for students on, did I help my parents with the dishes? Did I, make my bed? Do all those little things. So yeah, gathering and sharing in the real world examples is great. One thing that I know a teacher did once is kind of like an all about me at the beginning of the year. And they gave each student a brown paper bag and they said, you need to bring these 4 things. And one was something that, I love. Something that reminds me that I'm a Muslim, something that I enjoy eating, but it can't be food that's going to spoil, something like that. Actually, I wouldn't do the food thing because they're not allowed to have food in the classroom. But you get my drift. And so then students will go home, gather things, it has to fit in the bag, and they bring it and they get to share it. So again, building that classroom community, helping them get those things from home. And allowing them to participate. Great project. We did it. Jazakallah khair, everyone. We went through all of the examples. We'll have more of these later, some more specifics on, differentiating between advanced and beginner students, and any other topics that you think you need help on as the school year progresses. Feel free to shoot them out to your team leads, to myself, to Sister Fakra, so that we can, prepare our teacher training PowerPoint presentations to, cater them to each of you, inshallah. So Jazakallah khair, everyone. Do we have any questions? Do you guys see my screen or?
Yeah, we see.
Or did I
Not
stop
anymore.
sharing?
I think you stopped sharing now, right?
Okay, yes, perfect. Any questions?
Okay, assalamu alaikum.
Awesome.
I had a few questions actually. So my first question was that I believe you mentioned before that our curriculums are more or less solidified now. So I would assume that, like, because I'm a TA, so in order for us to have access to the curriculum that we're going to be like teaching or assisting in teaching, I would assume that we talk to our team leads, right?
Yes. Speak with your team leads. As a TA, your team lead, are you YP? I don't know who's speaking.
I'm in Quran.
I'm sorry, where are you?
So I'm a TA. I'm teaching. I'm not teaching, but I'm helping in teaching 3rd grade section 2 and section 1 in Quran.
Okay, perfect. So I would ask you to just confirm with Sister Asfa And then what I would actually suggest is for you to collaborate with the teacher that you're working with.
Okay.
And then that teacher will share the curriculum with you. Unless Sister Asfa has, the master curriculum, she could share it with you as well. But please reach out to her, inshallah, because she's the Quran lead and she's also the TA lead.
Sure. Jazakallah khairan.
You're welcome. Assalamu alaikum. All right, let's see.
We have 2 questions in the chat.
So questions in the chat. Can you please email presentation slides so we send class pick also on WhatsApp group? I think we answered this. Yes, the class pick should be sent on the WhatsApp group. Presentation slides are shared with your team lead. Please ask them so they'll share it individually with all of you. We talked about volunteer badges. My internet was not working the first few. What times do TAs have to be there on the first day? So TAs should be there at 8:45 a.m., just like teachers. On the first day, 8:45 a.m. if you're Arabic, 9:45 a.m. if you're Islamic Studies, YP, or Quran, or SNP, special needs, just like teachers, and that's for every single Saturday, not just the first day. Is this session for teachers or parents? The session we just did is I hope we knew that was just for teachers and TAs. When will we be receiving Google Classroom logins and rosters? So that's a great question. So a little background, we had just a few little issues with registration. We were hoping to get them out today. Inshallah, tomorrow, we will get teachers their Google Classroom information, if not late tonight. Our team is working on that very diligently. So I apologize for the delay. We did say that they were going to come out by today. I was put as substitute TA, so will I come to school every week or only when I'm called in? That's a wonderful question, Omer. I think you need to defer that question to Sister Asfa because she's the TA lead. So I'm not sure what she's having you do or if she has other roles for you if you're not in the classroom. I am a teacher, but I don't think I've received my email login or access to my Google Classroom. Exactly, you did not, Minha, and nobody has. So inshallah, tonight or tomorrow, we're hoping they will be out. So in terms of vaccination questions, our hope is to have everyone vaccinated. Now, like I said, if there is a deeper reason for not being vaccinated, that's, obviously that's another story. But we are highly encouraging everyone to get vaccinated within September and October, at least one shot. If that's not the case, if we have individuals that saying they're not planning on getting vaccinated and there's no reason, then we need to talk to those folks specifically, and we will have to do testing on a regular basis when that individual comes in, or we will just ask that you are moved to a position where you're not in the classroom. So that's the vaccination question. I hope I answered it. Yes, Quran TAs, Islamic Studies TAs, YP TAs, special needs TAs come at 9:45 a.m. every single Saturday, inshallah. Hopefully, you guys can make it every single Saturday. And if you're Arabic TA or teacher, you're coming at 8:45 a.m. If you're driving, please park. You can park in the staff parking lot, but the TAs, we'd recommend parking in the larger parking lot. I was supposed to be a TA, and I'm not sure which class I am for. I don't know. I'm sorry. But you can speak with Sister Asfa. Hopefully, you're on the TA chat and ask Sister Asfa because she has that information. I think there are some names that are being solidified. So that's probably why she hasn't given out, final information, but just please post it on your chat. Yes, if you only have one vaccine shot by September 11th, yes, you can still come in as a TA. We are putting our trust and faith in all of you. Please fill out the vaccination form and just upload whatever you have, and just put in the comments, what's going on and, when your next vaccination would be. Are substitute TAs able to fit as a second TA in some classes? It seems that there are 2 TAs in some classes, so it is possible. So again, I'd have to defer that question to Sister Asfa. Whatever. So our major reasons for having additional TAs are usually in classrooms where they're younger students that need more support, or there might be, a very new teacher that might need support. We are trying not to do that though, due to COVID reasons, and to try to keep less individuals in the classroom as possible. Any other questions? Assessments for each unit. Good question. So assessment should be for each standard. So you should go to your team leads and take a look. They should all have a curriculum spreadsheet for your grade level, your, I don't know which class, everyone's teaching, but they should each have a spreadsheet. On the spreadsheet, it tells you which standards are being covered at what time, what activities are associated with those standards, what topics, I should say, because the teachers can make their own activities. So you will be essentially assessing at the end of everything that you've covered for that standard, if that makes sense. You could do multiple assessments for one standard too, if you wanted. So attendance is, a TA is asking, I'm not sure what that is. Attendance help is in the main part of the building. Sister Aisha will be working with you. So you would come in again at 9:45 a.m. and you would meet, if you've been to Fisher, right when you come in the front doors, there are a bunch of tables in the middle. You would come in and meet there and hang out for a little bit till Sister Aisha, directs you on what she needs assistance with. And that would happen each week, unless I'm assuming if you're needed elsewhere. Any other questions? Okay. So I'm not sure if your security team and sub TA. So I think what that means is that if they need a TA, you will be in the classroom for sure. But other than that, you will be supporting the security team. So helping students get to their classrooms, especially on the first day, making sure students are not loitering, walking around randomly during the school day in the hallways, helping with the entry and exit dismissal processes. So Brother Ashfaq, when you get there on that first day, you'll be checking in with him, and he will help guide you as to where he would like you positioned for help. Do the teachers bring the students from the gym to the classrooms for pre-K? Yes. So if we're talking about 10 a.m., our pre-K, kindergarten, and first grade teachers will come to the small gym at 9:45 a.m. and they will wait there till 10:15-ish, 10:10, 10:15-ish, depending on how many students are there. And then they will walk them to their classrooms. And that's every single Saturday. I do want to make one correction. Pre-K and kindergarten will meet in the small gym. First grade will come in through the small gym, but they will meet in the cafeteria just because we cannot hold more than 50 students in a large space due to COVID reasons. So the first grade will be held in the cafeteria and then taken to their classroom. And pre-K and kindergarten will be held in the small gym and then taken to their classroom. And then at the end of the day, at 12 o'clock, the teachers for pre-K, kindergarten, and first grade must bring them back. So pre-K and kindergarten will be brought back to the small gym for dismissal, and first grade will be brought back to the large gym for dismissal. So yes, the teachers will need to take them to their classroom and also bring them back to the gym and stay with them. If parents do not come by 12:15 for those grades, then those teachers need to take those students to the cafeteria. And they can only get picked up until everyone else in the school is dismissed. So we're hoping that's a deterrent for parents to come late. Also, if you are a teacher or a TA that has children at the school, your personal kids can stay in the cafeteria while you are waiting with your classes if you're teaching the younger grades. And we're not announcing that, but you should know and tell your children specifically, please go wait in the cafeteria. When I'm done, I'll come pick you up. There is no lunch this year. There's no lunch. There's no Dhuhr prayer. We have an unusual year, and we want to keep everyone safe, inshallah. So there's just snack for Arabic level 1A and Arabic level 1B in the cafeteria. So the younger kids after Arabic will have snack. No nuts or peanuts are allowed. No food in the classrooms.
As we wrap up the fall semester, inshallah, as we come close to that, let's see how the COVID situation is. And if things are getting better, we will, inshallah, reevaluate and see if we can bring back lunch and Dhuhr. But as of now, we're holding off on that.
Yeah, so the question is, do TAs need to take the students to the gym and to the classroom, or just teachers? For now, we're having the TAs and the teachers in the small gym and walking the students back and forth. It's nice to have a teacher in the front of the line or a TA in the front of the line and then the teacher in the back, and capping the lines to make sure that all the students are walking together. There are occasionally younger students that do wander off, believe it or not. So it is nice to have both walking the students in the hallway. So I will put out a message on the TA chats so that all of you TAs can get some more clarification, inshallah. So hopefully we can get some questions answered. Oh, that's a good question. Should we take attendance in the gym or after we get to the classroom? So I would say take your attendance once you get to the classroom, inshallah. But when you get to the gym, you need to do the staff check-in. And the reason that I would say wait till you get to the classroom is because once you take, first of all, it might be loud in the gym. But once you take attendance in your classroom, you can take a picture of your class and you can send both of that information at once. Yeah, so good question.
Assalamu alaikum. When we do the staff check-in, where do we find that Google form?
Okay, wonderful question. So if you can see, let's try to find my phone. So if you can see, hang on, let's try to figure this out. So I'm going to YP staff.
Yeah.
Can you guys see my phone here?
Yeah.
Okay. So now I clicked on the top where it said YP staff. Oh, it's backwards, isn't it, for you guys?
No, it's okay. It's okay. We see it normal.
No, we can see it. We can see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then if you see right underneath it where it says see more, we've listed all of the pertinent URLs, incentive prizes, staff check-in, discipline, and absences. Mm-hmm. So just click on the top of your WhatsApp group.
Yeah. So is it also in the TA chat as well?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll check for you right now. Yep, it's on the sisters chat. Let me check the boys. Should be on there. If it's not, we'll get that on there, but it should be on there. I can't find the boys right now. Oh wait, let's see.
Yeah, I found it. Yeah, it's in the chat.
You got
I
it?
checked. Yeah, I checked where you told me to. Thank you. Jazakallah khairan.
You're welcome. No. So the question is, can we bring in candy to give out to the students? That is a huge no for various reasons. Unfortunately, I know that students love that at all levels. Number one, we have many, many allergies in the school. Definitely nuts, all tree nuts and peanuts. But I haven't even looked at the allergy list. Sometimes we have lunch, and sometimes we have, they're not just ingestion allergies, they're touch allergies, and sometimes they're airborne. I haven't seen if there's any airborne this year, but no candy. Second thing is, food is not allowed to be eaten anywhere except the cafeteria. Fisher has checked garbage cans before, and we have gotten in trouble for that. So no candy. The third thing is that if you give candy, the kids are going to lift up their mask somehow and try to stick it into their mouths. So I'm sorry, Yusuf and Abdullah. I'm sorry. Maybe some other time, but not at Fisher. What time can the TAs leave the building? Do we need to leave after the students do? So TAs can leave the building as soon as their class has been dismissed. So, for example, 7th grade YP1 and YP2 can leave the building as soon as their students leave from the front door, main door. They can leave as well. We would hope that they stay until about 12:40-ish when most of the students are gone, just standing outside, monitoring students, making sure nothing looks strange, making sure kids aren't running into the parking lot in front of cars, making sure that they're staying far apart from each other as well, social distancing. So I would say around 12:40, 12:45-ish. For the other teachers, pre-K, kindergarten first, second, third, fourth, you have to stay with your classes until they're all exited. After 12:45, a security team member will be able to take over. And then 5th and 6th grade, they are exiting through door 2. So they need to be physically walked down to door 2. And then once they're released, again, same as the older students, kind of stand outside until 12:40, 12:45 for TAs and teachers until you can leave. Any other non-food treat? So yeah, you're welcome to bring other treats from, if it's something that you're hoping to get reimbursed, please verify, go over that with your team lead. Because as a school, we do have those incentive prizes. So that's why we have each teacher choosing 2 students per week. That ends up adding up to a lot of students. And at the end of the semester, we give out very nice, prizes to the students. But if you do have small, what I call junk toys, those things from like Oriental Trading that you want to give out, you're more than welcome to. They're not food. Lots of questions. Oh, that's a good question. What are the prizes? Are they appealing? So yeah, we try to make them appealing to middle and high schoolers. So yeah, little kids like girls, boys coloring or Legos. We try to stay away from Nerf guns, but that type of toy. The older kids, we tend to do sometimes gift cards. I forgot what the other prizes are. I don't know if anyone remembers, but usually gift cards to the older students, Amazon, Overwise, local fun spots, Andy's. If you guys have any ideas, please shoot them our way. We'd be happy to buy those prizes as well, usually around like the $5 range. So it could be a substantial prize. substantial gift, I should say. Questions? What are the basis of who receives prizes every week? So that's a great question. So, teachers get to choose, right? So maybe someone who's participating really well. Maybe someone who did a great job presenting that week. Maybe someone who submitted their homework on time that week and did a thorough job with it. Maybe an individual who responded to a question, in a certain, first, if that's the person you want to choose. And it's nice to tell the students maybe the beginning of the following week or the end of that day, like, this week I'm choosing Maryam and Abdullah because Maryam did a great job participating in her game and Abdullah did a great job presenting on his project. So that's the basis. I would definitely try to, make sure you write down who's being chosen so you're not repeating. Try to do boy girl so it evens things out as well. One week pick a boy from that class, the next week pick a girl from that class. So those types of things. Good behavior. If you tell the students like, let's gather our materials and one student's sitting quietly already packed up and ready, maybe that's the student that receives the prize that week. Does that answer your question? Great. You're welcome. Any other questions? All right, awesome. So Jazakallah khair immensely for being here, asking your questions. And again, I've said this before too, just making the commitment to make a difference in these younger members of our community. It's really important for them to see, especially if you're a TA, to see these older role models, Muslim role models in these positions. So Jazakallah khair to our TAs, to our teachers. I hope you guys got all your information. You can always reach out to your team lead, to me, if you have any other questions. Brother Naeem, would you like to add anything and then end with a short dua, inshallah?
Nothing further to add, Sister Alina. Mashallah, you did an amazing job. This is a lot of years of experience, and you're providing this value to the teachers. So hopefully everybody got something really good out of this, and inshallah we can implement. And at the end of the day, we want to create a quality experience for our students and parents, and it's going to show, right? We can't wing it. It takes some preparation, and inshallah this will all help. So Jazakallah khair. Thank you for everyone attending. Thank you, Sister Alina, Jazakallah khair for coordinating this. And inshallah, if there are no further questions, we can wrap up with a short dua. All right. رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكن من الخاسرين. Ya Allah, we ask that you help us in every step of the way. Ya Allah, we ask that you help us deliver the message of Islam to our youth in the best possible way, with the best quality, and with ihsan, with excellence. Ya Allah, we ask that you help us be the best teachers, and instill the right values, instill the right behavior amongst the children of our community. So inshallah, they carry that message and that good behavior through the rest of their life, and that spreads in every community they reach out to. Ya Allah, we ask that you accept all of our efforts. Ya Allah, we ask that you reward this team immensely, the leadership, the staff, the entire team. Ya Allah, we ask that you accept from all of us. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. جزاكم الله خير everyone. Thank you.
Sounds like everyone. Thank you so much. It's gonna be an amazing year.
Yeah, inshallah.
Yeah, assalamu alaikum.
Inshallah.
السلام عليكم.
Assalam.